How would you describe yourself?
There's no self.
How would you like to be remembered?
Doesn't matter.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a filmmaker so deeply entrenched in the subconscious and the surreal decides to step in front of the camera? How does a master of the bizarre, known for breaking every cinematic rule, become the very thing he directs? Today, we're diving into one of the most peculiar twists in film history, the strange and surprising acting career of David Lynch. Most of us know Lynch as the creative force behind genre-defying works like Twin Peaks, Eraserhead, Blue Velvet, and Mulholland Drive. His films are dreamlike puzzles, celebrated for their unsettling atmosphere, unexpected humor, and deep dives into the unknown. But what many don't realize is that aside from directing these groundbreaking projects, Lynch also spent decades quietly and sometimes hilariously appearing on screen. What makes it even stranger? He didn't chase acting as a career. It was as though Lynch himself stumbled into these roles, some small and fleeting, others central and curiously heartfelt. Was he doing it for fun? Out of curiosity? Or was there something deeper, a way to confront his own fears or build a stronger bond with the actors he directs? What's undeniable is that his forays into acting are as unique and enigmatic as his films. From playing quirky FBI agent Gordon Cole in Twin Peaks to voicing himself in a playful Family Guy parody, Lynch's journey as an actor is one filled with surprises, strange characters, and hilarious moments. David Lynch's first real appearance on screen happened in The Elephant Man in 1980, but even die-hard fans could easily miss it. In this critically acclaimed film, where Lynch explored the tragic story of John Merrick, he made a fleeting cameo. As a reflection. Yes, you heard that right. A reflection. In one peculiar background shot, Lynch appears vaguely in the mirror, a ghostly shape silently watching the unfolding narrative. It wasn't a performance in the typical sense, no words, no action, but it still feels Lynchian to its core. A dim, quiet figure blended into the mise-en-scene, as if the director was observing the world he created from the shadows. While this moment may seem insignificant, it gives us a glimpse into Lynch's early relationship with acting. He didn't set out to be noticed or recognized. In fact, it's as if he wanted to stay invisible. There wasn't much intention here, just the natural urge to step into the fabric of his art, even hesitantly. But his next role would bring Lynch much closer to the camera and push him far out of his comfort zone. Fast forward to 1984, and Lynch found himself on the massive, pressure-filled set of Dune, his ambitious yet divisive adaptation of Frank Herbert's sci-fi epic. However, most people don't know that Dune also marked Lynch's first true acting role. Struggling to get everything moving on the colossal production, Lynch unexpectedly cast himself as a spice worker, stepping up as much out of necessity as curiosity. In a quick on-screen moment, he grimly declares, "Full crew, 26 men, sire," in a tone that felt more like a desperate man resisting the pull of the spotlight. And honestly, the line itself wasn't particularly memorable. What was notable was how the experience made Lynch feel. First, it was terrifying. He described standing in front of the camera as phenomenally fearful, an energy that's palpable even in his otherwise serious performance. But what came next surprised even Lynch. A sense of understanding. For the very first time, he glimpsed how daunting the acting process could be and how much pressure performers face in front of the camera. This quick scene taught Lynch something essential. Acting wasn't just about delivering lines, it was about overcoming fears and being vulnerable. That moment of realization stuck with him, shaping how he approached his actors in all future projects. But Lynch wasn't done just yet. Acting didn't just stay behind the safety of a sci-fi mask. In fact, his next role was personal, nostalgic, and oddly enough, romantic. Then came Zelly and Me, a small 1988 indie film in which Lynch shocked everyone by playing a romantic lead. Yes, you heard that correctly. David Lynch, the dark surrealist mastermind, was now stepping into a peculiar love story. But why? The answer lies with his then partner, Isabella Rossellini. Rossellini, who starred in the film as a kind-hearted nanny protecting an orphan, from her abusive grandmother urged Lynch to take on the role of Willie, her character's quiet love interest. She felt no one else truly fit the part. Producers tested other actors, but they were all either too modern or too sexy. Lynch, as rumpled and enigmatic as ever, brought something different to the screen, an enduring sincerity that set him apart. Willie was a strange character, polite, mysterious, and inexplicably charming. Dressed in formal clothes, always carrying a suitcase, he had an air of quiet devotion and hidden secrets. One minute, he's smiling warmly and complimenting lipstick choices. The next, you're left asking, what's in that suitcase? There's an unspoken mystery about him, and it's fair to say that nobody else could have played Willie quite like Lynch. But what drove Lynch to accept this role? According to him, it wasn't ambition, it was a challenge. He admitted he agreed to Rossellini's suggestion partly out of a fascination to see if he could do it. For Lynch, acting was never about becoming a movie star. It was about satisfying his curiosity and conquering his near-paralyzing fear of being on stage or on camera. What makes this role even more intriguing, though, is how it aligned with Lynch's deep love for Americana. Despite his reputation for twisted, surreal stories, Lynch has always adored the heartfelt simplicity of old Hollywood classics like The Wizard of Oz or It's a Wonderful Life. Perhaps Willie was his way of living out that nostalgia on screen, proving that even a filmmaker deeply rooted in darkness could have a soft, romantic heart. But if Lynch's quiet, heartfelt performance in Zelly and Me surprised you, just wait. Lynch's next acting project would take his quirky personality directly into the world of television and create one of his most iconic roles.
That's me.
Federal Bureau of Investigation Regional Bureau Chief Gordon Cole. That's a real mouthful, but I can't hear myself anyway.
Gordon Cole of Twin Peaks. By the time Twin Peaks premiered in 1990, David Lynch was already known as a trailblazer in filmmaking. But this surreal, mysterious TV series truly cemented his reputation as one of the most innovative storytellers of his generation. Co-created by Lynch and Mark Frost, Twin Peaks broke every rule of network television. It was strange, unsettling, darkly funny, and packed with enough eccentric characters to populate a town as unique as the fictional Twin Peaks, Washington. Amid the quirky ensemble of log-clutching women, cryptic giants, and cherry pie-obsessed detectives, a new character quietly emerged: FBI Regional Bureau Chief Gordon Cole. But what many fans might not know is that Lynch didn't originally intend to become one of the show's most beloved characters. In fact, Gordon Cole started as nothing more than a voice. When shooting early episodes of Twin Peaks, a problem arose. Agent Dale Cooper, played by Kyle MacLachlan, needed to speak to his unnamed boss in Philadelphia. To add some realism to an off-screen conversation, Lynch decided to lend his own voice to the part, shouting instructions for the scene. His reasoning? Simple. "I was talking loud so Kyle could hear me," Lynch later recalled. At this point, Gordon Cole existed only vocally. But when Lynch heard the playback, something clicked. The loud, exaggerated voice was hilarious and oddly endearing. The playful energy of that moment gave life to the character. Midway through the second season, Gordon Cole was brought fully into the world of Twin Peaks, and Lynch took on the role himself. It was a decision that would become one of the show's most memorable additions. So, what made Gordon Cole so unforgettable? For starters, his distinct personality and eccentricity made him stand out even in the Twin Peaks universe, which says a lot. Cole's defining trait was his partial deafness, requiring him to shout every line of dialogue for clarity. From dramatic explanations to casual observations, he delivered each line as though the world was collapsing. One of the show's most famous quotes, "You remind me today of a small Mexican chihuahua." Or his deadpan romantic outburst, "Well, seeing your beauty, I feel as though my stomach is filled with a team of bumblebees." Fans adored how Cole's over-the-top shouting transformed even mundane sentences into hilarious, instantly quotable moments. Behind the jokes, though, Cole wasn't just comedic relief. He had depth, often presenting surreal yet oddly wise observations about the mystery swirling around the show. He was an anchor of calm absurdity in a universe that constantly spiraled into chaos, a role that somehow mirrored Lynch himself. Audiences immediately fell in love with Gordon Cole. He became one of Twin Peaks' most memorable and endearing characters, thanks to Lynch's ability to mix humor, heart, and quirkiness into every scene. Watching Cole bellow his thoughts through his hearing aids felt both absurd and comforting. The same kind of emotional range Lynch's films evoke. Fans also couldn't ignore the uncanny comparisons between Cole's persona and Lynch as a director. Both shouted orders, oversaw chaos, and maintained an air of mystique amidst the absurd. Lynch even directed scenes on set with a literal bullhorn, making art imitate life in Twin Peaks. It's no wonder that Cole felt so authentically Lynchian, because in many ways, he was Lynch. The creation of Gordon Cole wasn't just an accident, it was a testament to Lynch's hands-on and improvisational approach. In Lynch's autobiography, Room to Dream, he revealed how his acting moments often grew from spur-of-the-moment decisions. Cole, for example, was never written to be deaf. It was just something Lynch added spontaneously, leaning into the absurd comedy of the shouting. Even Lynch's directing style, famously filled with last-minute tweaks, followed him into his acting. One time, while delivering a simple line, Lynch kept shouting it louder, adding exaggerated gestures for no apparent reason. The result? Another moment of Gordon Cole gold. Ultimately, Gordon Cole wasn't just a role for David Lynch. It was an extension of himself. The shouting director overseeing the surreal, chaotic world of Twin Peaks mirrored Lynch's real-life role. But Cole wasn't just a caricature. He embodied a unique sincerity and charm, a rare chance for Lynch to inject his humor and warmth into a fictional counterpart. Fans adored those moments where Lynch let his personality shine through Cole's booming volume, creating a character that's as timeless as the show itself. But Lynch didn't limit his acting to the comfort of Twin Peaks. His next roles would take him far beyond TV into some of the most unexpected and bizarre parts of his career. By the mid-1990s, David Lynch's acting career had started to mirror the surreal, unpredictable nature of his filmmaking. The roles he chose weren't mainstream, nor were they roles you'd expect a visionary filmmaker like Lynch to pursue. But that's what made them so fascinating. Each performance felt like a little inside joke, often defying explanation, sometimes deeply funny, and always undeniably Lynchian. One of the strangest entries into Lynch's acting catalog came in the obscure vampire film Nadja. In this gothic, black-and-white indie movie about undead family drama, Lynch took on the role of a morgue receptionist. But it wasn't just any morgue receptionist. Lynch made sure to leave his mark. Why was Lynch cast? Probably because he produced the film, giving himself a tiny but memorable cameo. Truthfully, his character had no significant purpose outside of adding a quirky layer to the scene. But what makes the role stand out is Lynch's playful improvisation. Instead of delivering the part straight, Lynch decided to add his own bizarre twist, crossing his eyes mid-scene. That's right, one of Hollywood's great auteurs turned a mundane moment into something utterly ridiculous by simply staring in opposite directions. It wasn't scripted, but it worked. His cross-eyed distraction drew laughs, along with the question, why does this mundane character look so unhinged? That's the brilliance of Lynch. Even the smallest role becomes unforgettable when his eccentricity takes over. When Lynch isn't directing a chaotic, surrealist landscape, apparently, he's acting in one. In his 2006 experimental fever dream, Inland Empire, Lynch gave himself a minor but baffling role, that of Bucky J., a baffled and nearly indecipherable grip working behind the scenes. Much like his other appearances, Bucky J. wasn't designed to be a fully fleshed-out character. Instead, Lynch infused the part with frantic energy and confusion, a chaotic performance that felt entirely improvised. There's one particularly odd scene where Bucky J. attempts repeatedly to describe how far down he's setting something, making his co-stars visibly react, possibly because they didn't know whether Lynch was joking or ad-libbing deliberately to catch them off guard. This role highlights how Lynch's surreal filmmaking style bleeds into his acting. Where most actors seek some form of clarity in their roles, Lynch thrives in the strange and unresolved. As Bucky J., he embodied his quintessential embrace the chaos philosophy, as though he were a minor character who wandered out of his own mind-bending dreams. David Lynch's mystique has long fascinated audiences, but rarely has anyone dared to parody it quite like the creators of Family Guy. In one particularly memorable episode, Lynch guest starred as himself, voicing an over-the-top caricature of his own surreal aesthetic. In the scene, Lynch gifts Peter Griffin a bizarre present, a lone thumb. His character's reasoning? Don't look away. Let the fear wash over you. It's absurd, vague, and perfectly in line with Lynch's trademark style. However, what makes this moment so brilliant is Lynch's willingness to poke fun at himself. Rather than shy away from his reputation as cinema's infamously enigmatic auteur, Lynch leans into the joke, embracing his status as a mystery wrapped in coffee-stained paper. For fans, it was a rare opportunity to see Lynch drop the curtain and laugh alongside them. Perhaps the most unexpected chapter in Lynch's acting career came not from an indie film or quirky cameo, but from a prime-time animated sitcom, The Cleveland Show. For 22 episodes, Lynch voiced Gus, a laid-back bartender who dispensed wisdom on us and drinks. Unlike his other roles, there was nothing surreal or mysterious about Gus. He wasn't shouting like Gordon Cole, crossing his eyes like the morgue receptionist, or improvising confusing directions like Bucky J. Instead, Gus became a grounded, steady character in Lynch's acting portfolio, a rare role where he just seemed to be enjoying himself. Why did he take this part? According to Lynch, there was no grand artistic intention. It was simply because show creator Mike Henry asked. In a 2010 tweet, Lynch confirmed it with his classic brevity. "Yes, it's true, I play Gus on The Cleveland Show. Mike Henry asked me to do it, so I said yes." This casual attitude may explain why the role worked so well. Gus gave audiences a glimpse of Lynch's personality without the usual surrealist layers, showing that even the maestro of the strange has a sense of humor about normal acting gigs. As David Lynch approached the later years of his career, his acting roles began to take on a deeper, more personal meaning. While his appearances earlier in life were often eccentric and spontaneous, these later roles carried a reflective tone, almost as if Lynch was no longer just acting. He was saying goodbye. In this final chapter of his acting journey, Lynch paid tribute to friends, heroes, and the art form he shaped throughout his life. In 2017, Lynch appeared in Lucky, a film that celebrates the life of his dear friend and longtime collaborator, Harry Dean Stanton. It remains one of Lynch's most heartfelt acting efforts, a role filled with humor, warmth, and quiet reflection. In Lucky, Lynch plays Howard, the peculiar owner of a pet tortoise named President Roosevelt, who has gone missing. Howard's monologue about his turtle brings the film one of its most poetic and unexpectedly moving moments. Speaking to Stanton's character, Lynch describes how long a tortoise can live, emphasizing its resilience in the face of time and mortality. The turtle speech became instantly memorable, both for its quirky delivery and for the deeper meaning it carried in the context of the film, a meditation on the inevitability of aging and death. For Lynch, it likely held even more meaning, as it was a chance to share the screen with Stanton one last time. In interviews, Lynch described working with Stanton as a personal highlight, saying it made him feel like he had been knighted. The reverence with which Lynch treated this moment speaks volumes about the depth of their friendship. For fans of both Lynch and Stanton, Lucky feels like a farewell of sorts. It's not just a tribute to Stanton, but to a generation of cinema, capturing a rare spiritual energy that transcends the art itself. After decades of revolutionizing the surreal in film, Lynch's acting career came full circle in The Fabelmans, 2022, Steven Spielberg's semi-autobiographical story about a young aspiring filmmaker. Lynch portrayed John Ford, one of Spielberg's biggest inspirations and a legendary director in his own right. This role felt as though the baton of American cinema had been symbolically passed between generations. Spielberg casting Lynch, one of modern cinema's great iconoclasts, to portray Ford, a pioneer of classical Hollywood filmmaking, created a poetic meeting of two worlds. Spielberg later described the casting as surreal, saying, "Here was one of my heroes, David Lynch, playing one of my other heroes, John Ford." The scene itself is short but unforgettable. Ford bluntly but humorously lectures the young Spielberg stand-in on what makes a shot interesting by explaining the simple art of horizon placement. The moment is fascinating because Lynch's deliberate and commanding delivery mirrors his own style as a director, direct yet laced with profound meaning between the lines. His performance captures Ford's no-nonsense persona while giving viewers a brief glimpse of Lynch playing someone almost like himself, a creative mastermind dispensing wisdom. And then there's the cigars. Apparently, while on set, Lynch smoked exactly 16 cigars in a single day, the number perfectly matching Ford's reputation for chain-smoking cigars between every take. It's a fitting detail, one that underscores Lynch's dedication to inhabiting the essence of the character, even while holding on to his trademark quirks. The Fabelmans marked Lynch's most serious acting role and felt like the perfect bookend to his unpredictable acting career. Stepping into the shoes of a filmmaking titan was more than a performance. It was a moment of cinematic legacy being immortalized. From bizarre cameos to more reflective roles, David Lynch's acting career has been as enigmatic and surprising as his filmmaking. But why did he do it at all? Was it for fun, or was there something more profound unfolding beneath the surface? Let's take one final look. David Lynch's acting career is as puzzling, strange, and fascinating as the worlds he created behind the camera. Reflecting on this journey feels especially poignant after his sad passing just 2 weeks ago. It's a reminder that Lynch wasn't just a filmmaker, he was a rare artist who lived to explore every corner of creativity, no matter how small or quirky. So why did he act? Was it just a creative experiment or something more profound? For Lynch, acting was a way to confront his own fears. He famously described being in front of the camera as phenomenally fearful, and his early roles, like his speaking debut in Dune or his subdued turn in Zelly and Me, seemed to confirm that his motivation was less about ambition and more about challenging himself. He wasn't searching for stardom, he was living out the very discomfort his films so often portrayed. But acting wasn't just about conquering fear. For Lynch, it was also a chance to learn. Every small role, whether serious or absurd, gave him a deeper understanding of what his actors endured. This first-hand experience shaped him into a more empathetic director, one who created safe, nurturing spaces where his collaborators could thrive. And yet, acting wasn't entirely work for Lynch. There was unmistakable joy in his on-screen appearances. Whether he was cross-eyed as a morgue receptionist in Nadja, booming lines as FBI agent Gordon Cole in Twin Peaks, or self-parodying in Family Guy, Lynch's performances exuded playfulness. To him, acting was simply another avenue for his extraordinary curiosity, a complementary piece to his creative mosaic of directing, sculpting, painting, music making, and more. His later roles, however, show a new depth, one of reflection. In Lucky, alongside his lifelong friend Harry Dean Stanton, Lynch delivered a performance charged with quiet tenderness. It wasn't just a quirky speech about a missing turtle, it was about love, resilience, and loss. And in his final acting role, playing filmmaking legend John Ford in Spielberg's The Fabelmans, Lynch paid tribute not only to one of Hollywood's greats, but also to his own legacy. As Ford, Lynch provided advice to a young Spielberg stand-in about how simple shifts in perspective can make all the difference. Words brimming with wisdom, like so many moments in Lynch's own career. David Lynch didn't act for fame, fortune, or recognition. He acted to explore, to experiment, to connect, and to celebrate the art of storytelling in all its forms. His performances, just like his films, leave us with many unanswered questions, but a striking sense of awe. Fittingly, Lynch's final line on screen, spoken in The Fabelmans as John Ford, captures both the spirit of his artistry and the joy he gave to audiences around the world. Looking back, it feels like his farewell gift to us all.
Thank you.
My pleasure.